My name is Brian Michael Johnson. I'm actually a professional athlete where I compete, sponsored by Nike, and I'm a professional long jumper. And Slash just got the job position. I've been holding it for about a year as Southern University's head track and field coach. I am married. I have 3 kids, Kobe, which is 6, Taylor, which is 4, and Jet is 7 months, and I've been married for 8 years to the lovely Miss Pamela Johnson. I was born in Houma, Louisiana, March 5th, 1980, where I stayed for 5 years, and then later moved to Ahway, Louisiana. Whenever you have 3 sisters and 2 brothers, it's always crazy. Like, I can remember a time, like, I'm fascinated with cars. I love cars. And my dad had this old Buick, and we stayed in a trailer. And I always wanted to drive that Buick. And he just never gave me the keys. He was always say, son, you're just not ready yet. You're only 15. You can't even get a driver's license at 15 during the time that I was growing up. And I was like, Dad, I've got to drive your old school Buick. I just love it. And I scratched it. I got into it, drove it when he was at work one night, and I scratched the whole left side of the panel. And came home, he was like, who did it? And my brother stuck up for me, and he was like, Daddy, I did it. I took it. I did this to it, or whatever. That was probably my biggest, most memorable moment in my family, that my brother actually stood up for me because of my love for cars. As a child, I was short. I wanted to be an NBA player so bad. In high school, I was only 5'9", and from the summer of 99 to 2000, I actually grew 5 inches, and now I'm currently 6'6". But I just wanted to be an NBA basketball player. That was my main entire goal. That's the only thing I wanted to do in life. And if that fell through, I wanted to be a family court lawyer. My mom and dad stayed together. They were married for 30 years. They actually divorced in 1999, my first year in college. My relationship with my mom is great. My mom is my best friend. She's a person that, knows me inside and out. To me, we're twins. We was actually born on the same day. So I'm like the best gift she could have ever gotten on that day. But me and my mom, we're twins to me. We think alike, we act alike, we do certain things alike. And she's just there to comfort me. My father's been in my life for most of my career, I guess you could say. But we don't have the same bond as we had whenever I was growing up in high school, where he was a #1 Brian Johnson fan, where anything I did as far as schoolwork, being on the honor roll, whether playing baseball, basketball, football, he was there. My dad was everywhere I was until 1999 when my parents got a divorce. My first semester in college, I would say I was devastated, because I always had this perfect picture that my family would always be intact, that my mom and dad would always be together. And as soon as I got to college, it just fell apart. And at first I thought it was just me, my problem. I left, I went away, I got out the family. But it just hasn't been the same with me and my dad. We rarely talk. I maybe talk to him once or twice every 6 months, so it's not the same. But my family structure was great. My parents did a great job raising 6 kids. It made me feel lost, because I was used to the situation. I was used to, hey, Dad, what did I do wrong in this basketball game? Or like, Dad, you're a history major. Can you help me with this history homework? To not have no one. So for like 3 years, I didn't have anybody. I didn't have any friends. I think I was just I wouldn't say miserable person, but I just wasn't happy with myself, because I took what happened with my parents, and I just wasn't as focused as I needed to be on who I was going to become. Because to me, college is all about who you're going to become in the next life. And I did 3 years of just not doing anything, not opening up or anything. And I think that from 1999, not being able to have my father kind of made me who I am today, as far as not opening up, more shy, more reserved, and I'm working my hardest to get out, to expand. Once you get to know me, I'm cool dude, I joke, but I'm more I wouldn't say standoffish. If I don't know you, I'm not more in tune to get up and say, hey, how you doing? My name is Brian Johnson. Just because I guess I blame that on my father, as far as once he left, I just went sheltered in my own little shell. I think one of the most craziest things that happened to me was my senior year in college. I was the #1 prospect coming out for college collegiate sports, and I suffered an injury at one of the biggest meets on television, Texas Relays. From that injury, I thought I was fine, went to the hospital right from there, and they told me that I was fine. Something just wasn't right. Like, I couldn't walk. I just had this pain in my knee, in my ankle, and I just couldn't get over it. So I went to a specialist when I got home, and they told me that I tore all of my ligaments in my knee and that I would never be the same athlete again. I would never jump again. I would never be able to play basketball again because of the crazy injury that I had that only happens to like 2% of athletes a year. So I went home, talked to my parents, got my decisions together. I started doing research on the most popular knee surgeons in the States and in the world, period. And I found a guy who's just so happened to be in my backyard named Brian Griffin. Went to my first consultation, crying, hysterical, because when I was brought up, my daddy was a Major League Baseball pitcher, and sports was all I knew. And at age 19 to 20, it was just hard for me to not be able to do it anymore. I'll have somebody tell me that your sports life is over. Like, you won't be able to play ball with your kids or do any of that sort. So I think I became the person that I never wanted to become. I started, being mean to everyone, alienating everyone, not trusting anyone, just because I was unhappy with myself. So it just took me a while. It took me a year to learn, that it's not nobody's fault. It was just a freak accident, and I just had to learn how to deal with being not at my best at the time. So that injury, to me, brought me who I am today. So that struggle of going through not being able to walk for 8 weeks, for being in a cast, for getting my legs stretched out, going through, excruciating pain of stretching, drills, walking upstairs, that lesson taught me that, we take for granted the small things like waking up, putting pants on in the morning, walking. So I had to learn how to walk all over again. So it taught me that life was short, and that if I wanted to make a name for myself, that I had to act now, that I didn't have no time to cry, pout, or worry about why I'm not jumping far this way, why this problem in my life is not working out. I just had to be positive, no matter what the situation was, and just figure out how to make things better in life. The injury humbled me. I think I was a little bit arrogant. I think that I was just this big macho guy and that, nothing fazed me. And the injury brought me back down to reality. The injury taught me that without sports, no one knew who I was. I wasn't a strong voice without sports. And I wanted to be multiple. Like, I wanted to be able to go to speaking engagements or go to local high schools and just, without even being a track star or an Olympian, be able to impact people. And it taught me that people just knew me for sports. And sports are seasonal. So I might be here today with sports and then tomorrow I'll be gone. And I wanted to impact people past sports. Somebody telling me no means nothing to me. So I started researching on what works on how to repair a knee. Found somebody to do it. I actually told him what he needed to do to repair my knee to put me back to star status again. So that happened. I went through the surgery, everything was fine. Rehab took a year and a half. Now, before I left, I was a 28-foot long jumper. After the surgery, my first meet, I was jumping 21, all out, putting everything into it, and it just didn't come. So 2004 rolls around, and I try out for the 2004 Olympic trials. Finished dead last. Was about to give up on track and field and just give up on, sports period, and just find my career in law, which was my second best love. But my coach, he just kept yelling at me. And my girlfriend at the time, who became my wife, was like, don't give up. You just got to keep working at it. So I became a workaholic. Like anything that has to do with the knees, squats, bends, I was in the shower doing squats, trying to get back. In 2005, I actually came back, made my first outdoor team, and went to Helsinki, where I didn't do that well, but I just kept going. My jumps became to get better. I became to get stronger as a person. And before I knew it, 2008 rolled around, and I was the #1 long jumper coming out of the States. And I ended up making the 2008 Olympic trials team and went over to Beijing and represent this great country. The message that I would give to the kids that are watching me right now is that to never get up, never stop trying. No matter if your injury is worse than mine, no matter if your parents divorce, no matter what the situation is, to never give up, to find your path, find what you do best, and make the best of it. So just because your mom and dad had a bad relationship doesn't mean that you have to have a bad relationship with your spouse. So that taught me, that's the biggest thing I work on whenever I'm, having problems at home, or me and my wife are not getting along, is to remember that my mom and dad, they did okay. They were married for 30 years, but my main goal is now to stay married, to live out my life with my wife and my 3 kids, and not be a statistic of getting divorced at an early age, or getting divorced because of money problems or infidelity or things of that nature. I know if I do what I'm supposed to do, that everything's going to turn out the correct way. So you might be going through having bad grades your first year of high school, but you got to think about it. You have 3 more years to rebound off making bad grades your freshman year. So no matter what the problem is, there's always a solution to it. You just have to figure out what that solution is and work a game plan out to get there.